has been amazingly good for a Friday. Wait a minute, today's Wednesday. All right, so that's how bad I have it, all right? I wish it was Friday, then tomorrow would be my Friday. No, forget it, all right? But the trip should take about an hour and 20 minutes, hopefully. The only thing that's going to stop us from an hour and 20 minutes is the drawbridge, like the Charles River, which we have to go under, or go over, and then we have to go under, and then we have to go over. So we go over, under, over, yeah, you don't know. All right. So the first two trips, we were sitting there for a half an hour and 20 minutes, basically looking at a bridge, doing this. All right. So if that doesn't happen, we should be an hour and 20 minutes. Okay. All right. So we're gonna take this ride to Boston. Boston, there's no such thing. All right. So we're going to take this trip around Boston, so there's a couple of things you should know about me. All right, I just turned 75 this year. Thank you. Yeah, I wasn't really looking for applause. I'm looking more for sympathy. All right, but I have two things that are going wrong with this thing here of me. Right, one, I have short-term memory loss. Can I mention my driver bill? No? All right, and I'm dyslexic. Now, I don't know if any of you are dyslexic. Very simple. I said, you know, guys, I do historical sightseeing trips to Boston, and I'm constantly missing my left and rights. And the instructor said, there's an easy way of curing it. Well, I drove in Boston for 28 years. I drove an 18-wheeler. All right, that's how I got Captain Mac, 18-wheeler Captain Mac. If you can't figure that joke out, this will be the longest trip of your life. But my boss and me, we had a kind of a disagreement on how to do my job. Right? Oh, for all the young folks, after the trip's over, get your parents to take you down. You can run through that little thing there. All right? It's a splash pool. It's for children to splash through. Oh, by the way, you can be an adult too. If you want to splash through it, all you got to do is be young at heart. But anyway, my boss said, you know, give me a 10-4. There we go. That's so much better. Oh, that's so much better. The last time I went out, I just had water in it. I filled it with scotch. No, I didn't. Yeah, if I don't keep on putting fluids, I dehydrate, and then I don't have a voice. In the nation, 1837. All right. Starting at the end of the park is Charles Street. That's the street ahead of us, and that would be the beginning of the Charles River. So the Charles River went from that street all the way to Fenway, 1.1 mile. As they started doing the landfill in Boston, they started over here, and then eventually someone says, you know what the city needs? They need a public garden. So what did they do? They took Mount Vernon, which was right over there, took the hill and pushed it all into the Charles River. So this was Mount Vernon. Then when they got done with that, they started more of the landfill. But someone came up with a brilliant idea. Absolutely a magnificent idea. What does this park need? A lagoon. I'm by Peter Bulfinch. He was one of our nation's first and foremost architects. He actually did the Capitol building in Washington. He did the dome there. This is the second oldest in the country. Rhode Island is older. All right. Now, if you notice the front stairway, it's kind of unique. That's only used for 3 special events. Imagine how beautiful that is. What's it used for? When the governor gets voted into office, he gets to enter the building and goes to his office. When's the next time they use it? When he gets voted out of office. All right, he gets to come back out. He goes down the common, and he's a common man. Now, the other time they can use it is if a head of state comes in. In World War II, the people who ran the shipyard went to a group of men and said, we have a problem. They go, what's that? We don't have anybody to take care of the men who do the late shift, you know, bring them coffee and donuts. So you guys own a bakery. Would you be interested? And they go, yeah, we'll do that. So what they would do is every night around midnight, they would show up at the Navy Yard with these huge containers of hot coffee and like dozens and dozens of donuts. So the men were kind of, you know, they were thankful for it, but they also complained, you know. You do realize your donuts are stale. And they go, what do you want from us? We made it at 5 o'clock this morning. Be happy, we're here. But you know what? You know what you should do? Take your donut and stick it in your cup of coffee. It's called dunking. And they made a plain donut that actually had a little loop on it, and you would hold on to that and dunk your donut. That's where it came from, all right? So Dunkin' Donuts was actually a group of men who owned the bakery, and they started dunking their donuts, all right? This is the Hurley building. This is a little hiccup in Boston. You know, not every building in Boston is beautiful. You know, we do have a couple of buildings that we did a boo-boo on, I guess. That's called the Hurley Building. It was built in the late 50s, early 60s. It's an architectural style known as brutalism because the building is brutally ugly. It's not easy. All right. We have that building. We have our old City Hall Plaza. One's all over the place. They were one after the other, after the other. But that building, believe it or not, at one time actually supported 30 people. All right. But they were called tenement houses. The problem was this whole neighborhood was those, one after another. And the people who lived here didn't have much wealth. So they had problems paying their rents. And if they did, they weren't high. So the landlords had a problem keeping up the property. So what eventually happened, the federal government stepped in with the city and said, this neighborhood is deplorable. You know, it's going to be a little ghetto. And the problem is if there's ever a fire, hundreds of people are going to die because we can't get a fire truck through the streets. They're so narrow. So we need to do something. And the city says, what do you want us to do? Take the property by eminent domain. But we don't have enough money to pay the landlords. We will. So the federal government paid the landlords whatever sum they would accept. And then they took the whole neighborhood and they flattened it. They tore it all down. The problem was everybody who lived here for a while, and they were very close with the whole neighborhood. And when they told them they had to relocate, they put them in housing projects throughout the city or the state. So they were dislocated from the friends and family that they have known forever. All right, and they promised the people when they built it up, like the. It's your birthday? How old are you? 21? Yeah. So you're gonna take your old drinking into? Are you with them? Mom? Yeah, don't let them go drinking. You know. Yeah. Oh, where you guys from?
We're all together.
Oh, you're all together? So like, you 6, 7, with someone over there. Right. Where you guys from? Oh, New Hampshire? What's the matter? Everybody leave New Hampshire today? What, you're all whole 50 years old? Oh, all right. Yeah. So were you here for the 4th? Did you go to the Esplanade? Yeah. You have to ask her. Are you with the people behind you? You're all buddies? So tonight's girls' night out? Yeah. So you're gonna paint the town red or yellow, blue, whatever, right? Yeah. Whatever, all right. Be good, behave yourself. How about you guys? Where you from? I heard. Hey, stop making all that noise. We are trying to talk here, right? Switzerland? Really? What are you doing in Boston? All right. I've been to Switzerland. Yeah, Kandersteg. Yeah. Yeah, my son was in the scout troop there. Yep. I loved it. Yeah. Everybody look across. See that? That's my mother-in-law. She's been boosted. Yeah. All right, I'll get to the rest of the people when we get farther up, all right? So what we're going to do is head for the water, all right? You all know we go in the water, right? They told you that. If they didn't tell you, let's make it very simple. If you ever get on a bus and you see this amount of life jackets, just assume it goes in water, all right? And we do, all right? So what we're going to do is head for the water. By the way, that was actually not that bad. That stop there. The last trip was this way. And we get out and we see if it has a yellow tab, it means you weigh 90 pounds or plus. If it's a red tab, you're under 90. If you're not sure which jacket you have to put on, don't worry about it, we don't judge. Just make sure you pick the jacket that's most appropriate for your size and weight. If I ask you to, please put on the jacket and get ready because we might have to abandon the duck. If we need to abandon the duck, we go over the rail that way or this way. We don't go to the back and drop down the ladder. That would take forever. In 28 years, we've never had from their parents, and they were told to make sure they always took care of Boston. So when they found out this park was in dire needs of funding, they donated the $1.5 billion to get the park completed. So we always appreciate people in our city. By the way, anybody's welcome to do this. I will warn you, if you're my age, don't. If you're really young, you guys bounce back so much quicker. So I always tell people, after you get past a certain age, act your age. Like, don't try to do these jumps. All right. So we gotta. I can't see. We got one coming out. So we're right behind the blue duck now. There's a duck in the water, and when the duck comes out, we can go in. The rule of thumb is the duck in the water has the right of way. And the reason for that is very simple. We can see him. They can't see us. So he's coming up in a minute. If that train wasn't making so much money, we might hear his horn. But once he comes up, we'll follow the blue duck ahead of us and we'll take a splash.
I'm from Cambridge.
You with them? He's not my dad. I don't even know him. He wants to be my son. I won't let him. Alright, so here's what we're gonna do. We're gonna go halfway down the ramp, put the duck in the neutral, put the duck in the D1, grab the handle beside the driver's seat. That'll engage the prop, which is right underneath you guys. And then basically blast a horn and away we go. Everybody hands in the air, get them up, get them up. Everybody, welcome to the Charles River. Boy, it's just like Disney. By the way, if any of you own a car and you're gonna get your permit or a driver's license, don't ever do this. I guarantee you, you won't pass and mom and dad will be extremely unhappy. All right. All the people in the back, where you guys from? The back row, where you guys?
California!
From Florida?
California!
Oh, California. What are you doing here?
Visiting Nana.
Oh, you came to see Nana? Hi, Nana. Yeah, and you? Oh, all right. And this group, where you guys from? Did we already mention? Are you?
We're from Michigan.
You're from Michigan? Why?
We say the same thing.
Are you like in the hand or the bottom part?
We're in the hand.
I've never been to Michigan. I lived in Wisconsin. They're like the same. Yeah. My brother was in Michigan. Did I get everybody? I didn't want to slate everybody, but everybody told me where you're from. Sir, get your hands in the duck. What are you, a child? No! No! At the very beginning I said, no, don't put your body parts outside the duck. All right? Yeah. What he thinks is, and right now it's on, let me think, yeah, it's almost full. The river right here can get to be 25 feet deep. How do you know it's not? You look at the water, the bank. See that black like ring around the top? All right. If you can see that, anything below it is below the height of the water, at an average. Anything above it would be too much water. So we try to maintain the height you see right there. But the reason is very simple. To maintain a lot of the housing in the north on the back bay, which I'll explain in a minute or two. All right, but we're going by a duck. This guy is very, very subordinate. So give him a 10-4, guys. So the river is the cleanest river in the United States of America, which is absolutely amazing because when I was growing up, this was considered one of the dirtiest. When I was growing up, they rated rivers in our nation. Hey, that's Dan. He's training. That's friends and family. He has no friend and no family, I guess. I don't know. But as we head up the river right now, when I was growing up, the river was a D-. It meant that if you swam in here, you went to Mass General and got a tetanus shot. It was that simple. And I had several. Because I was 18. Joe has decided to take a union break, even though we're not a union boat, but that's beside the point. So what we need is people to drive, and we're going to look for volunteers. We always do young people first. Young people are anybody under 17, between 17 and basically 1. So if you fall in that age group and you want to drive a duck, all right, all the way in the back, no, left-hand side. You come up first. No, the other side. Beside you. She had her hand up first. All right, so who else wants to drive? Put your hand in the air. I'm going to give you all a number. She's in all of them, and she's like excluded. Right? No, it's not. You know what I love? I don't like, well, I'm going to do it anyway. I can do a lot of stuff that, you know, because I'm old. Alright. Well, the famous poet who wrote the Midnight Rider Paul Revere, well, the Rider Paul Revere, the Village Smith, and the Bridge. Alright, he's credited with all those. He lived on Beacon Hill with a young lady whose name was Fanny Appleton. She was a Brahmin. Dad was loaded. Alright, so they got married, and when they married, he gave her a house on Beacon Hill. And everything behind it is the 21st century. So you got, right on that little hill, you actually have 4 different centuries of architecture. So this is the only place in Boston where you can walk around and just see it all. And it's absolutely amazing. All right, young lady, what are you doing in Boston? Oh, you're here with the girls, all right? Girls, all right, there you go. Watch your step down. Going up. All right, for those of you who are not aware of it, directly behind my back, that's MIT. Massachusetts Institute of Technology. MIT, if you want a bachelor's degree, you go there. Now, if you want a master's, a doctor's, a PhD, an ABC, an MPC, a CBS, go up the river 2 miles, and you'll be at the campus of Harvard. So Harvard's up the river. You look across the river, that's Boston University. That building that looks like a Jenga piece. I actually thought that was their library. They built it last year. I found out it's actually a science center. All right, thank you very much, young man. There you go. Give you a sticker too.
Catherine.
Anybody else who didn't drive, want to drive? I don't know, what's too little? Can she smoke yet? Where you want? Don't worry about going over someone else's name because your name's going to fade in a year anyway, and we're probably going to just do it right over you anyway. So just put the name up there. So before we go any further, let's give these 2 gentlemen a round of applause. Thank you for that service. Where did you serve? Marine Corps? Where did you serve?
Marine Corps.
You're a Marine Corps too? Hurrah! You look like you would be a Marine. Yes? Kilroy? Who is he? He's a man. All right. It's a long story, but I got time. Kilroy is a physical person. He was a ribbon counter at the shipyard in Fall River. His job was they were making transports there. And his job he would go around and count the number of ribbons. So if you're a ribboner, you get paid by the amount of ribbons you put in the boat. So he would count them. And then he would take white chalk, encircle it, and write Kilroy was here. One night, he stayed a little later. And he found out the crew that he was counting ribbons for, when he would leave, would go around and erase them. Because it's white chalk. And another guy would come on. G, the 4th letter of the alphabet. U stands for a utility vehicle. So this was an all-purpose. We can go from the water to the land, to the land, to the water, back and forth. So it had that. The K actually stands for 6-wheel drive. These have a 6-wheel drive. The 4 drive in the back are constantly moving. The drive in the front, we haven't fixed it over yet, but we will in a minute. And the W stands for a dual rear axles. Everybody, give them a 10-4. Give them a 10-4, guys. Oh, that was so bad. Move inland. All right. So the men would fight their way inland, and then they would bring these ducks ashore, and they would carry extra men with extra food, ammunition, and supplies. Why? Because most of the men who were in the 1st, 2nd, 3rd waves would run out of food, basically water. All right. So the duck would come ashore, wherever the men were fighting, they could drive up the beach and go wherever the men were fighting. Once they got there, the men would get off, give them their extra supplies, and then join the conflict. But more important, the duck would turn around, go back to the beach, and they would lay stretchers across this way. And they would take the men out to the hospital ships. And they would do this over and over and over again until all the men were ashore. Basically, the conflict was over, all right? we're going to do exactly what a duck would have done in 1942. Except we're going to leave out two things. Machine gun bullets and mortar shells. I'm pretty sure we don't need them. But the duck right now is in six-wheel drive. The back drive doesn't have enough power to push the duck up the ramp. So we need a little bit of extra push from the front tires, and that'll do. So we're going to maneuver through the opening right here, and then in a minute you'll feel the front tires hit and then the back. Once we get a certain amount up the ramp, we just basically shut the four-wheel drive down, shut off the prop, and let the back tires do what they're supposed to do. So, there's the front. That's the back. We just left the water. And we get to give my driver a round of applause. And there we go. Hey! Get home in time for dinner. I'm not feeding. Everybody give him a 10-4. What the gentleman I just messed with, his name's Tony, and what he's doing, the 4 people that are on his vehicle are actually bus drivers who decided they're going to do this for the summer. That's where we get a lot of our extra drivers from when the school's let out. They already have commercial driver's license, so all they basically need is experience going in and out of the water. Great job. We employ him. Believe it or not, there's a place in Boston called Cleveland Circle. It's actually just outside of Newton, part of the marathon race. You come down a hill and then there's a hard right, and you have to do that. And there's all elevated trains that go through there, so they have the tracks on the streets. So the two, well, one wasn't so funny. I saw a young man basically zooming in and out of cars, and then he comes to the street, and his front tire actually goes right into the well in Boston. All right, yeah. And the thing is, you know, because right behind that is the Boston Reservoir, part of Boston College. Yeah. So before I would eat a lobster, I'd rather do a peanut butter and jelly sandwich, which is absolutely amazing because I live from about here to that wall from the Atlantic Ocean. Right. But nah, I'm just not a fan. But you know how much lobster there was in Boston Harbor? During the time of the colonials and the Puritans, they actually had them in jail. Lobster more than 5 nights a week. Lobster was so plentiful, you went right to Boston Harbor, stuck your hand in the water, and you could pull out a lobster. And I don't mean those itty bitty tiny things we have today. I mean lobsters with a claw as big as those little ones. There was so much, it was absolutely amazing. And what's even more amazing is back in the colonial times, you know, there are 2 types of people in the world. There are people with green thumbs, and then there's us with black thumbs. You know, I can't grow anything. Yeah, I plant it, it dies. My mother can plant anything and it lives. Alright? So she always told me, you don't fertilize right. And I go, what do you mean? She goes, you need to put something with nutrients in it, like lobster, fish. And I go, yeah. Now you got to kind of sneak it in your inside. And you got another one that doesn't want to let you over. I noticed somewhere you got them. You got Converse All-Stars? You're a big Converse fan? And for that, it's very simple. No one knows where it exactly happened. But this is the King's Chapel burial site. It is the oldest burial site in our city, European style. This is where you'll find John Winthrop and the 150 Puritans. But more important is the Beantown Pub. This is the only place in the world where you can go in and order a cold Sam Adams and look across the street at a cold Sam Adams. It will get worse. All right. That large model on the street is the John Hancock Tower. It was built in 1977. When they built this building, they made it out of reflective glass so they can reflect the church. So if you want to get a beautiful picture of the church and you sitting on my deck, you should be looking out that window and get ready to take a photo. And there you are. Everybody wait. For those you might have noticed, there's a lot of cows in the city. Yeah, we're going to the cows. That is actually a drive around Boston. You walk around Boston, you see these cows or bulls or whatever.